Hey there. Um, so unfortunately, this letter is P, and so that's also the pun for the week. I may as well just tell you the letter because I'm not gonna sit here and just say I just peed or actually there's a joke involving a garbanzo bean and a chickpea, but I won't share that either. I'll just get to right to the letter because there's a lot of good ones this week. So first we start with the things that I've listened to since last video, which 5 of you watched. Looks like 3 of them are probably me. So at least one person. I've got one secret admirer. Thank you, whoever you are. I don't know. The Cult of Rape, a promo version. Most of y'all don't know what you're missing. These are the greatest tapes ever. All right, and that DGC Geffen sampler here. With a Nirvana track. It's from, I think, 94? Something like that, 94. Well, it doesn't say. Oh, I think it's 96, actually. Oh, Information Society, the most 1980s band of all time, with What's on Your Mind. The promo version of that. I always kind of liked that song. I always thought it was fun, especially when I was, a kid in like the 80s. Not to date myself, but I actually do like that song. I just had an interesting conversation with a friend who came into work today, and we just talked about people make you feel embarrassed about the music that you like and stuff because theirs are so much better. Like, I think the example was somebody was listening to Nine Inch Nails tape, or I think it was the artwork that the Nine Inch Nails song "Closer" was based on. And he was just talking about the art, but the pretentious hipster friend was like, some of us like to think that we know about industrial music or something. I don't know. But like he was talking, he had the very prominent throbbing gristle. And I mean, I've been collecting since 1990 music, and I kind of was able to get over all of that at some point, and just realized that I probably know more about music than most of these people are ever going to know, or we've even forgotten more about music than most of these people are ever going to know. This one is Joan of Arc, Pinecone. It was very electronic-y, very enjoyable. Joan of Arc, I think I showed them off a few weeks ago. Yeah, the box set. Just a band I really like. They started off like an emo-ish band in the late 90s, and they quickly progressed to some very interesting, weird art band that is far more compelling and Chicago stuff. Chicago band, I guess. Like you might run into one of them in around North and whatever division or something. Anyway, Luscious Jackson promo there. I just listened to some of this stuff last night. This is just stuff I picked up recently. A little thing that you just can't get. I don't think this is aged too well. It's like got some very clunky rap moments on it, but or something. But it's not. It's fun. It's not bad. Metallica store. Apparently, Metallica took over a record store. All I know is, I got this for fairly cheap, and so I was like, all right, sure. It's kind of fun. You're not supposed to pay for it. I don't know if you're allowed to, like your uncle gives you his copy or something, or how you're supposed to get it, according to Lars Ulrich, but I'm not worried. I did buy mine, but very cheap, Lars. Don't worry, it didn't cost me too much if that's what you really want. And this one has Helmet Army of Me as performed by... No, it's got Army of Me by Bjork as performed by Helmet. That was the compelling track on that one. That's fun. Now we get into Peas, the actual Peas, with 4 minutes in. Okay. Yeah, I've got something to share here. This is the German marches. I don't understand a word of this, but I think you would be arrested if you owned something like this in Germany. But I'm not ashamed to own this. I was like going through my grandfather's stuff. He's got he had some very interesting things. Most of the letters to my grandmother from postcards from 43, but also a swastika, which I did show a picture of it, but it's something that he got off the enemy. And I'm kind of thinking like, not something I knew too much about, but, we did the right thing in World War II, frankly. We fought on the right side. And so I think it's good to remember that. As did my grandfather. He probably wouldn't want me mentioning this in a tape video, but that's okay. I think he would. Like, I do feel like I've got to bring him up sometime just to be like, you know what? Just because I don't like people being tribalistic about things or bombing children, it does not mean I, like, hate you or, or that my grandfather didn't fight to help people. I don't know. I feel like I've got to invoke his name, and I don't really want to these days. Anyway, let's get back to it. Oh, Osmium. That's a great Parliament album from the late 60s where it's like I prefer this Parliament to the Funk Parliament. I know the Funk Parliament's supposed to be more important and all that. And I thought singing like said George Clinton was one of the greatest vocalists of all time. Is he? I really have no idea, but he's better than Michael Jackson apparently. Okay, but yeah, but I do like this version of Parliament where they were like hippies and they hadn't done funk music yet. Parliament's okay, but like I'm a little bored, to be honest, like with the 8-minute songs and stuff. But that's just me. I just prefer the hippier Parliament. That's fine. And the first Funkadelic album is really pretty good too. Although that I guess is getting into funk. Arvo Part. Now I don't have much Arvo Part here. Tabula Rasa. Well, and I think this might just be an earlier version or the Canadian version actually. You can always tell a Canada version by the black tape. Arvo Part is, I don't know, I guess he's just one of the best, greatest things that you can ever hear. To the point there, like, I get mad that some people probably think that Johnny Greenwood wrote Fratres. I don't know how you pronounce it. Fratres. Basically the most beautiful song ever written. The tintabulation of just spreading the notes out to hear the dynamic, the pitches, the chords are spaced out in a certain way. Just look it up. And no, the guy from Radiohead didn't flip and write that. Okay, so even though it's on the soundtrack, it says soundtrack by Johnny Greenwood. No. He might be a genius too, but he's not Arvo Part. So let's not pretend. Oh, man. Anyway, that just irritates me. The Jules Verne Soundbook, the guy from XTC. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. It's about as good as an XTC album. I liked it. What else we got? Well, more Bollywood / Indian classical sort of overlap kind of thing. Here's some Pavement from the upcoming Matador album to be announced. I don't remember which one it is, but it's, it's 99, so that's Terror Twilight, I think. And then Around the Corners, maybe it's Around the Corners, actually. I'm not, like, the biggest Pavement fan, but I like them. I think it's, anybody that joins Sonic Youth, is, including Jim O'Rourke and Mark Eyebold, I'm a fan of that. So, great. Another promo of Bright in the Corner is a different one. Yeah. Why not? Pearl Jam Alive. This was like a Record Store Day thing. I wouldn't say Pearl Jam's like anywhere near my favorite band. That's obvious, but they are kind of like, they do set off a nostalgic chord for me, just like a lot of all those 90s bands do. It was the music I listened to growing up, and so, I don't want to show that, whatever. This is what I want to show. The promo version of 10. The promo version of 10. I feel like I guess my favorite song is probably Release or something. And Once is good. But like, yeah, somehow Pearl Jam kind of sucks in a way, just too. Like, I don't think they're very, compared to the other bands, they're just kind of, I don't know, like, there's something that just, it's like a peanut butter and tuna banana sandwich or something. It just doesn't work. But I like them anyway. what am I even saying about Pearl Jam? I don't mean to rip on them. But I just like listened to this one, the live 90s, 94 one. And so that's why I've been thinking about them. I would have just maybe skipped over if I hadn't listened to them recently. Another thing I listened to recently was not this, although David Peel, this guy showed up at like a thing called Weedstock, and he still sings the same damn song. And he still talks about how he met John Lennon one time. He never got over it. Like even years, like 30 years later, he's still talking about or 25, I guess, how John Lennon was, once he met John Lennon once or hung out with him. It's kind of sad. The John Peel sampler is John Peel, the DJ. I'd never heard his voice before, but this actually has his voice talking and introducing all these bands. His favorite band is The Fall. My favorite band is definitely not The Fall. I don't care. You can't improvise greatness. It just doesn't work. Especially, maybe the Marky Smith can, but his band, though, it's really hard to improvise great songs. If that's what they were doing. And if they weren't improvising them, then they're just kind of a shitty band. Anyway, it's fine. It's all good. What else? Maybe the lyrics are great, but the problem is I don't listen to lyrics closely enough. That's my problem. I can't understand what people are saying half the time. You gotta just come up with a good song. Pell Mell. Whatever. Para Ubu. Speaking of great songs, these guys are weird. They have great songs, and then they pretended we never thought of writing a hit song. And they didn't really write a hit song, but I've got some excellent, great Para Ubu. Is it Para Ubu or Para Ubu? I don't know. But I liked this one. It's got all their early good ones, and then so they kind of get worse as they go along. And I've also got so many in my other collection. I've got Listen Without Prejudice Vol II, which is something they had to withdraw. It's incredible, as well as the Datapanic in the Year Zero box set, which they didn't really put on tape, but they made tapes of it. Then they put it out with the CDs instead. Oh, and I've got Dub Housing. I've got an original tape of Dub Housing. It's kind of incredible, considering Para Ubu didn't really ever make it as a band at all. There was this cult thing, but somehow I've got some really rare Para Ubu stuff. Not in this section, obviously, it's just the one, but I've got the American version of this as well as all that stuff too. I love Tom Petty's Wildflowers. That's a wonderful album. I think about Tom Petty recently because I guess Grand Theft Auto 6 has one of the songs, and it kicks ass. Tom Petty's he's somebody who just naturally kicks ass without really trying too hard to kick ass, It's just great. Wildflowers is really just very relaxing, very positive, happy album. What can I say? Well, the song Wildflowers is really beautiful on the bridge and stuff. It's got a lot of great little chord changes and stuff. And it sounds simple, but the chords are actually more complicated than that. Here's the promo version also of She's the One. Oh, and The Last DJ. For some reason, The Last DJ, critics are ripping on this one. I don't know why. The Last DJ song is a great song. It's got the lyric about how they make you pay for stuff that you used to get for free. I'm butchering that lyric, but it's a great Tom Petty lyric, and who cares what they say? It's great. Whip Smart by Liz. Oh no. Liz Phair, Whip Smart. We're 14 minutes in already. Man, I don't have any video restrictions anymore. We'll just go through this whole thing. I haven't even gotten to Pink Floyd yet. Ugh. Okay, and what have I dropped? Oh, payment. Anyway, Liz Phair, Jealousy. This is a promo, but it's got some stuff it's got the song Jealousy, and then the last ones are all stuff that you can only get here. It's an EP of, I want to say it's an EP of stuff that revisited or early stuff, which has kind of since been sort of released on tape. Anyways, White Chocolate Space Egg, yeah. Fish's Picture of Nectar, which is the proggiest Fish album. Why do I like this? Well, I went to go see these guys. I was not in a, well, I dressed up in a suit because I figured, you know, that's the most, like, wildest thing I could do. You know, I just went to a Fish concert and I was surrounded by all the uniforms, the hemp uniforms that they wear. But I was wearing a suit and tie. And I was sort of singing along and I was crazy. It was fun. Crimes of the Mind by Fish and the Dude That Sucked. That was like a terrible album that they just went with somebody. They made with somebody. They should, like, I don't know. I guess they were kind of paying tribute to his old past or something. Fish is an okay band. I've got like tons of their stuff. Like in my old collection, I've got an original. I got like I think 2 original Juntas, like before they were on the label, Elektra, and an original Lawn Boy before they were on the label. Those are possibly their best albums. I don't know, but I've always kind of like Picture of Nectar, how it does all the twists and turns, which I appreciate, being like a prog lover. Okay, here's Pi, the motion picture soundtrack. Weird movie. I mean, what the hell? I watched it actually not within the last 5 years. I think during the pandemic I watched it. Thought it was somewhat pretentious. Give me a break. But not a bad movie, just interesting. Oh, Pi, C&I. This is actually a good album. It has a real heavy guitar sound, but it just kind of rocks out. Now we get to Pink Floyd. And this is probably, you know, this is going to be 2 rows of Pink Floyd here. This section, like some things I've shown in my collection, rivals my old original collection in terms of just like great like things. Rhapsody. This is the 501 label. We'll come back to this. This is like early stuff. But then we get to the most important Pink Floyd album I own. An original Piper at the Gates of Dawn from 1967. I believe it's August of 1967. I believe that the first copies, which I also have, of Sgt. Pepper came out earlier, I want to say June, and this was August. This was some of the first cassettes ever put out by Capitol, or cassettes weren't really much of a thing back then, but this is kind of a beautiful release of it. It's got this kind of interesting gatefold in here. You know, for 67, this is a tape from 1967. It's got a little bit of a tear there. Should probably get a different one at some point, but you know, not terrible. And it sounded great. It sounded beautiful. So that's what I care the most about. It sounded just as good as any other. Here's a re-release, British re-release. Piper yellow label. They'd switched from the light blue Columbia to the yellow. Then this is the, I want to say, Indonesian version, I think. But I get the Malaysian perhaps. I get them mixed up. And then a re-release. And then we got the first, I think, I might as well show this too. The first, I think, official release of Saucer. I believe it's from 77. I bought a copy of this from somebody who shall remain nameless, who kind of like charged me like arm and a leg, and then the tape didn't play, and then he wouldn't just give me a refund or anything. He just swore the tape played. Yeah, but then I found this one real cheap, so yeah, I don't know what to do when the tapes don't play. Somebody will figure it out, and then I'll resell the tapes that didn't play. Here's this Canadian version. Umaguma, like other stuff, Canadian versions. Re-releases of more. That's kind of interesting. That's a great one, I guess. In its own, it's a weird one. Adam Hartmother. What is this? Live Adam Hartmother, I think. Gosh darn it. Yeah, live Adam Hartmother. Very unofficial. Metal, a cigarette carton styled tape. I believe it's from the US. UK version of Metal. 2 of them. Don't remember what the difference is, if there is one. An original Obscured by Clouds, re-released Obscured by Clouds. Obscured by Clouds is probably one of my all-time favorite Pink Floyd albums. That's just a great album. Some Dark Side, of course. An original Animals. I think that's about the time they put out the Saucer one, was also with this Animals here. And here's something, no wait, it's Live 77. On Tour 77. Okay, an Animals tour thing. Not to be confused with the cow. You know, this is like Animals. Not to be confused with Animal Heart Mother, which also kind of has an animal, but it's a cow. Okay, and then I think this is an original Wall. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first German, actually. Okay, this is German. Never mind. All right. What was this one? Canadian, maybe? Yeah, whatever. Oh, and then this is I just listened to. Speaking of the Wall, let's just talk about the Wall really quick. I used to like the Wall, I guess, in high school. But yeah, like it's a mess. Like the Wall, I like it, but it's definitely like the product of Roger Waters talking to his therapist or something. And like I like this one particular version because it goes like full on to 11 with the melodrama, and it's just so silly how it's so weird. It doesn't like achieve the thing it's trying to achieve. You know, it's so juvenile, but it's still great. I think I had more to say about the Wall, but I mean, it's like this version with the soundtrack. It's kind of like the same music, but it's like there's just noises in the background, like people breaking glass and gunshots and things, and of course Bob Geldof being totally corny and over the top about everything. So yeah, if you like that, then you'll like this. Oh, by the way, this is the 501 version. You know, you probably aren't going to be able to find this. It's the Saudi Arabian 501 version. That's the soundtrack. A Clear View is a live set from 87. I kind of like their 87, Momentary Lapse of Reason. It's got some really interesting songs and like interesting effects and just 80s, like early digital sounds. Like when they're, you know, One Slip, you know, how they got the kind of, I don't know, like kind of weird alarmish. What is it? What is that sound effect? I mean, I don't even know what it is. It goes like, to start off that sound, One Slip, it just goes like bling, 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 bling. And then there's a bomb, an explosion. It reminds me of like just electronics that sounded revolutionary or badass at the time. Okay, this would be upside down because the tape didn't play well, and I want to keep it upside down because I've got an original which did play well, and so I'll know. I have no idea why that. Anyway, this is to be not accepted, I guess, in my full collection. If and when I ever am able to combine the two. This one is, okay, the World Tour from 88. Sure. Another 501, Saudi Arabian label. Oh, and here we go. The Shine On selections from the box set. And then Impressions. You guys have heard of Pink Floyd Impressions, right? It's the Division Bell, but they hadn't come up with a name yet. So it's called Impressions, like basically, or, you know, I guess if you're assigned to write a book of poetry or whatever in high school, you would call it either Impressions or Reflections. This one's good. It's the Wish You Were Here Trance remixes. That's great. Off the Tribe label. I think I've talked about the Tribe label before. It's obviously not entirely Pink Floyd. It's somebody else, some other people too. You get to Pixies. This is something somebody made. Boy, do I wish I had a demo version, but those go for about $1,000 now. So this is kind of a janky. Whoever does these things, the guy, I think he's from Indonesia or something. He makes interesting looking tapes, but he also adds a whole bunch of like little cards and things that I just don't need in books, and it just turns into a big project for some reason. I just want the music and the well on tape. Bossa Nova, an original demo of Bossa Nova. And here is Death of the Pixies, the full disc 1 of 2 and disc 2 of 2, the full demo, or rather promo version of those. Beneath new ones now, Beneath the Eyrie, whatever, and Doggerel, which I was led to believe was some sort of country or folk album, but it just sounds like the Pixies, maybe a little softer. Yeah, in the beginning, like Frank Black and Kim Deal, I thought were kind of annoying, but good, like good songs, but they kind of needed to like take it down a little bit or something, or stop being quite so irritating. And I feel like Frank Black did, and Kim Deal, I know this is sacrilegious, but I'm supposed to love Kim Deal, right? Never got into it. Like, she just over sings or sings everything crazy, and I don't know why. Why did she over emphasize all of her, other than to be just totally annoying? So, sorry. And the Breeders aren't that good. They're not that great of a band. Let's be real. In fact, I know we're supposed to like. We're not supposed to like the Pixies, but frankly, I kind of do like the Pixies a little bit better. Even though she's no longer with them. So I'm glad I got that off my chest at the 26, 27 minute mark here. There's absolutely nobody who's going to watch this, of course. The RoboCop soundtrack. Here's another band I'm not supposed to like that I do. Poison. Poison's great. Yeah, especially like Ride the Wind and stuff like that. I'm so glad to like things that, I'm not supposed to like. Feels kind of subversive, but I'm not really doing it just to be subversive. I'm doing it because I like this band. Iggy Pop in 77 and Iggy Pop TVI Live. Yeah, this one has David Bowie, I guess, but he doesn't really sing. He just plays piano. So I think he just felt like hanging out and playing piano on some easy songs. So, Posies. Here's some Primus stuff. We got 6 songs. Tales from the Punch Bowl and Winona, as well as Anti-Pop Sampler. This thing is a sampler, I guess, too. But I'm a little bit curious because I bought this from a guy who, he has this. Oh my gosh, should I really even talk about this? Yeah, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna put this on and post a link to it on his tape thing. So I guess I can't say anything negative. Not that I would. It's not negative. It's just that he's gotten rid of all of his tapes, and I'm just kind of he's trying to charge $100 for a tape I want, and it's like. I told him I wanted. Never tell anybody you want a tape, because then you're going to pay $100 for it, or you'll never get it. But it's basically highway robbery, and he's kind of mad at me. Probably he might not be, but he might be mad at me because he posted he had a big wall of tapes in his basement, and I was like, and he got a ton of praise, and nobody's gonna watch this video, and look at all the great tapes I've shown you. He doesn't have these tapes. And this is just a small part of my collection, but he doesn't have anything like this. But he's the one that gets all the praise and oh my gosh, this is the greatest collection ever. Anyway, he's selling all his stuff, but now he's just making money. Whatever. I mean, I'm not selling any of my tapes. Don't ask. Why am I in such a bad mood? I don't know. Anyway, Doom original soundtrack. This was, something somebody made, but it's cool. I think I mentioned the trinity of early computer games, on a computer. Wolfenstein, Doom, and Halo. No, it's not Halo. It's, what was the other one? Anyway, we're almost at the 30-minute mark. I'm going to stop this very soon. The Promise Ring is an emo band. I think we're good.